Hey guys, I want to come and give you a short little video on some ways to spot reproduction German daggers. This is going to be geared toward the new or novice collector. So some of you old-time collectors might find this a little repetitive, but here we go. All right, reproduction German daggers first made their appearance right after World War II. Some of the manufacturers in Solingen, they recognized the demand for souvenirs, especially the GIs going home. They wanted to take home a blade or a dagger as a war trophy. So the manufacturers in Solingen started making parts daggers out of wartime surplus. There wasn't a really major amount of reproductions until about 1960. During that time frame, many of the authentic Third Reich weapons were really becoming high value, and so it was profitable to make reproductions. And then, the floodgates opened. England, Spain, and also Germany started making a ton of reproduction daggers. Several of the original arms factories started assembling and manufacturing edged weapons. There's been little to stop this. It's doubtful that there's ever going to be any international legal restraints put on this. But the reproductions, they're going to continue to be put in the market from these European countries. Poland is another one making them. But okay, the first thing, the obvious thing you want to look for is, does it look new? Okay. If it looks like it's been made last week, then it probably has been. There should be corrosion in the correct places, dirt in the correct places. I mean, look at the screw heads. Are they bright, shiny, completely free of corrosion? Grab a flashlight, look down inside the scabbard. There should be some signs of wear or dirt or corrosion. But now, just because it doesn't look new doesn't guarantee it's old, because some of these dealers are burying the daggers in pig crap, urine, chemicals, different things to make them look old. So just keep in mind that an old-looking knife is not a guarantee that it's real. Second thing you want to look at is misfitting parts. To put it lightly, Germany had the best weapons makers in the world. Their quality was superior to everyone. There should be no misfitting parts. Wooden grips that have large gaps between the handle and the crossguard, that would never have made it out of the factory. So that should give you a red flag that it's a reproduction, or maybe the handle has been switched out with another one. If the if the handle or the crossguard or the fittings are crude looking, those would never make it out of the factory. Also, find a reference that tells you exactly how long each dagger is, and you can measure the dagger to make sure it's the correct dimensions. Most of the reproductions are really, really off on their dimensions. Look at the engraving on the blade. Edged weapons that have engraved blades, they have really flooded the market here lately. Bayonets, daggers, swords. Dealers and collectors sometimes are having local jewelers engrave blades, crossguards, scabbard fittings with fictitious and sometimes real German names and units. First, study the engraving style, the depth, how it looks of known original pieces. There's no substitute for looking at the real deal and then comparing it to a replica. If you handle enough items, you'll get a feel for it. You get a look for it. And most of the time, if a local jeweler has engraved some part of the dagger, it will look very weird how could I say it? It'll look foreign. It won't look German. It's hard to explain what I mean, but if you look at enough real ones, you'll know what I mean. Now remember that all the SA, SS, NSKK, naval daggers, they all had acid-etched mottos and maker's marks. Just run over the motto with your fingernail and see if you can feel it drag across the motto. It should, if it's etched. It's easy to spot the fake engravings once you've seen enough of them. Some of the blades will have incorrect markings, incorrect proof marks. These blades are usually ground in 2 or 3 sections per side called flats, and the trademarks are centered on the blade flats. They are never off-center or leaning left or right. You know, the weapons factories during World War II, they ranged from these huge corporations down to small shops in the rear of a house in Solingen. Each individual company didn't manufacture the entire range of the catalog of Third Reich weapons. Some firms were granted license to produce a dagger that no one else could. For instance, the Tino Officer and Enlisted Daggers by Carl Eichhorn, those were made only by Eichhorn. Another thing to look for is incorrect accouterments. A red flag is easy to spot on these. The hangers, the frogs, the knots, they will look brand new. They won't have any wear. They won't have the proper patina. And also keep in mind that some collectors and some dealers will take a real portapee or a real hanger or a real frog and put it with a reproduction item just to give it credibility, if that makes sense. Carefully inspect the inside of the leather items. Does the leather and the stitching look old? Does it have appropriate age on it? Check the condition and the wear of the portapee. Does it appear to be recently made? Just be careful with the accouterments, and they're a good way to determine if something is fake. And what I say is, you know, if one thing is fake, then chances are something else is fake. So I would avoid it altogether. Also, you'll find completely fantasy, non-existent models. One of the great examples of this is the Eichhorn SS pocket knife. These SS knives are made in England. They're 100% reproductions. They're not real. They look cool. If you want to own one just because it's cool, that's fine, but they are not real. Also, sometimes you'll see unusual variations. With the prices of Third Reich daggers going sky high, you're going to see one-of-a-kind prototypes that are finding their way into the market. You know, some of these are authentic prototypes, but any prototype that is offered to sell, make sure you have provenance, you have documentation, because the vast majority of prototype daggers being offered today are reproductions. They demand top dollar, so you got to insist on complete documentation prior to the purchase of one of these. And lastly, guys, find yourself 2 or 3 dealers that you can trust 100%, that offer you a money-back guarantee for the life of the item, no questions asked, and deal with those people. You know, you may have to pay a little bit more, but you'll rest easy knowing that you have a return privilege and you can trust the people you're dealing with. You know, peace of mind is big in this hobby. Alrighty, guys, that's going to do it for this video. I appreciate everybody watching, and muchacho out.